Hey everybody, it is Thursday, July 3rd, 2025, and the markets are closed for the week. It was a good holiday shortened week. Bonds were down slightly, that should be read. But Ethereum had a really strong week, and Bitcoin felt stronger than the 2.5% that it shows there. So let's take a look at these charts and make some sense of it. We'll start out with Trading View here and looking at the at Bitcoin. We saw that Bitcoin had a little bit of a shakeout right in here and just below the anchor from the all-time high and quickly recovered. So it's up and away, and it feels to me like this market is now ready for new all-time highs. Same is true for Ethereum, not necessarily new all-time highs, but it experienced another little shakeout right in here, and now it looks like it is once again heading at least towards the 2900 to 3100 zone up in that area. Oil did get a bounce here this week, and it bounced exactly from the spot it's supposed to. The anchor from the year-to-date low right here, that is where we're seeing the bounce occur. We're back up above the anchor from the all-time high. Let's just change this to a weekly time frame and adjust that scaling so we can make some sense of this mess. But there's the anchor from the all-time high. Otherwise, we're kind of pinching between the anchor off of this low and the high that it saw in 2022. Basically, oil is neutral. I don't see any reason to really be very interested in it. But Bitcoin and Ethereum, well, Bitcoin in particular, looks like it's on its path for new all-time highs here in the near term. S&P 500 made several new all-time highs this week, and it is just on cruise control higher above the rising 5-day moving average. Don't overthink it. This is the week-to-date volume-weighted average price, and it just continues to mock the shorts and give them what they deserve for shorting something in a primary uptrend. And I'll point out again, you don't have to pick the bottom to make good money in this market. This market has been, just providing exceptional opportunities week after week here, and I will continue to be bullish as long as the market sends me bullish feedback on positions on an individual basis as well as the overall market. The NASDAQ, another new all-time high here as well. We saw a slight pullback to the rising 5-day moving average. As you know, on the intermediate term time frame, above the rising 5-day moving average, we are innocent until proven guilty. We get a little bit cautious and say, let's tighten our stops in here, but we don't get bearish. That's what amateurs do. Look for tops and bottoms, that is. The Russell 2000 powered right through that 200-day moving average, and what was being held back by the 61.8% retracement. We're seeing that in a lot of individual names. You don't necessarily have to catch the move in the Russell 2000. I have not participated. I've been telling people if you're involved, raise your stop up under the higher low that makes most sense to you for your time frame, and that was these levels. Now it's this higher low, then we had a higher low than that, and another higher low. So protect the gains where you see appropriate, and don't overthink it. The semiconductors, they did make it through that all-time high level here, so they've joined the other markets. And what is traditionally the leader for the bull market, the semiconductors that is once again at a new all-time high after a big pullback. But they are once again at all-time highs here. Don't overthink it. We've got a rising 20, 50, 200-day moving average. By the way, going back to just a more simple look right here, let's mock technical analysis 101. Pop technical analysis is what I'll call it. The 50-day moving average crosses through the 200-day moving average. That's the so-called death cross. That occurred right down here at about 5:30. Well, what did we have this week? The so-called golden cross, a bullish scenario. The market's been bullish for several months. The market had been bearish over here. Now, it doesn't mean this is going to mark a turning point, but when you get these, Britney Spears pop, you know, music, unsophisticated type of technical analysis, it just means raise your guard to me. It doesn't mean that's a fresh buy signal. If your fresh buy signal is buying an extended market and you weren't already involved, I would argue you've been late. But anyways, let's go back to the analysis of the market. Semiconductors are at an all-time high. They had a shakeout below the 5-day moving average, but the direction of the 5-day moving average remained higher. So that was a little bit of a shakeout, and from failed moves come fast moves right into new all-time high territory. Innocent till proven guilty. Don't overthink it. I put General Motors on as a trade on Monday. right here at about $49.50. And today I had suggested selling some because why? Because it broke out. It broke past this level right here. Now I have a strategy that allowed us to get out within a few pennies of that high that I shared with X subscribers today. That's $10 a month at Alpha Trend subscribers, of course. But you also have to look at the personality of General Motors. And look at prior examples. General Motors is a so-called blue chip safe stock, but is it really? I mean, look at the last rally and how it had broken out right here. So as it broke out at that point, people got excited. Well, guess what happened the very next day? It got the shit kicked out of it. And guess what happened when we had this move? We had another big rally right here. And then as it broke, these levels over here, it went for another day or two, but then it had a big gap lower, erased all those gains, and continued lower. So you have to look at this and say, do you want to be a breakout buyer, or do you want to buy when it makes sense on a shorter term time frame, catch the momentum, ride it up 6-7%, and then sell some to the breakout chasers? Look at the personality of the stock. I don't think it's going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if the stock gapped down to $50 per share on Monday. I always sell into some strength, especially when I look at the personality of the stock and say, what's the personality of the stock? Risk is not a constant. Just because it's General Motors doesn't mean, hey, you can expect to have your stop underneath the higher lows. That is a prudent strategy, but you've got to take some off into strength, because people who didn't do it over here and people who didn't do it over here, they regretted it big time. So be smart, be safe, listen to the message of the market, listen to the stock that you're trading. Amazon is getting going once again in here, so that is bullish. Apple did what it was supposed to do this week as it broke a little bit of supply. I've been talking about on Trader TV as well, buying it above here after that big move on Friday where we saw some news. Well, on Tuesday, we digested that. We got back above the week-to-date volume-weighted average price right here. And now this is the higher low, and it's rallying right into the zone where it's supposed to. It's supposed to rally up into here. Look at the last two times it was here at 214. Well, the next day it did this. A couple days later it did this. Now we're at the year-to-date anchor and the same area. Where has it come from? It's just rallied from 200 to 215. Where is it likely to encounter a source of supply that might become strong enough to offer resistance? We're right there. It doesn't mean sell your entire position if you're in Apple, because we do see these higher lows, but it means be prudent. Trim some into this zone, raise your stops up, listen to the message of the market. Hope everyone has a good 4th of July and enjoy that 3-day weekend. I'll talk to you again next week. Thank you.